There is a soul that carries a very deep love for you, yet this person has intentionally chosen to stay at a distance. Before your thoughts begin racing and trying to explain every little thing, I need you to pause for a moment and take a slow breath, because the message finding its way to you right now is not something ordinary. This exact moment, this message and this perfect timing are arriving through a higher connection. It stands as a sign, a confirmation, and quiet proof. It is the truth your inner heart has silently been hoping to hear for a very long time. Hidden beneath all the confusion, uncertainty, and unanswered questions in your life, there has always been something deeper waiting to be understood. Nothing happening in this moment is accidental. Nothing unfolding here is random or without purpose. Sometimes the universe reveals its deepest truths, but they can only be noticed when you stop moving so fast and become calm enough to truly listen. Your spirit already knows what is genuine. There is someone connected to your story, or perhaps someone who was once very close to your heart, who carries a devotion so powerful they struggle to put it into words. They feel emotions that run deeper than they know how to manage, and a longing they simply cannot remove, no matter how much space or distance they place between the two of you. Do not mistake their silence as proof that they no longer care. The truth is, their silence is overflowing with emotions too strong for them to express openly. As their love for you grows more intense, their urge to retreat grows stronger as well. It is almost as if loving you has become both the greatest blessing and the most difficult emotional challenge they have ever experienced. This is a truth their heart understands deeply. Even though their actions may try to hide it, they continue to pull away because you touch something very deep inside them. You awakened a part of them that had been asleep for years, buried beneath layers of emotional protection and guarded walls. If you are dealing with someone who truly loves you but keeps creating distance, hit like right now. As Carl Jung once explained, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact between two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. And that is exactly what happened between you. You changed them in ways that matter deeply. You helped them recognize sides of themselves they had never revealed to another person. You gently opened walls they had carefully built over many years. You reached a hidden place inside their soul that even they did not fully understand existed. You are not simply another person passing through their life. You are like a mirror, reflecting both their greatest desires and their deepest fears. You reflect their hopes, their dreams, and every old wound they never completely healed. They have never experienced emotions this powerful, this real, or this impossible to control. Without even trying, you lowered their defenses. Around you, their spirit felt open, vulnerable, honest, and completely exposed. And vulnerability was never something they were taught to trust or see as safe. You were never part of the life they originally planned, but instead you arrived unexpectedly and shifted their world in ways they still struggle to explain or fully understand. They never expected the spark they felt in your conversations, the deep calm that surrounded them when you were close, or the frightening realization that your absence would someday feel like losing the very air they breathe. This person remains far away, not because they lack feelings for you, but because of a deep fear surrounding the emotional power you hold over their heart and spirit. You have become the one person whose words carry more meaning than anyone else's. Your presence matters in ways they never imagined possible, making you a reflection they are not yet emotionally prepared to face. Comment deep love if someone in your life cares deeply but keeps their distance. For them, loving you feels like standing at the edge of something terrifying, like stepping off a high cliff without knowing if there is anything below to catch them. Instead of risking emotional pain, they remain frozen, trapped inside walls of self-protection and silence. Their distance is not cruelty. It is a quiet confession of guilt. Deep inside, they believe you deserve someone stronger, steadier, more healed, and emotionally complete than they currently feel themselves to be. They replay old conversations and past mistakes repeatedly inside their mind, worried that unresolved wounds could damage something beautiful and destroy a connection they secretly treasure. Within their silence lives a soft but haunting voice that keeps whispering the same painful message, that they are still not ready to meet you as the best version of themselves. Hit like if this silence feels less like rejection and more like protection created by their own fear and insecurity. They feel your bond in places beyond logic, in emotional and energetic spaces words struggle to explain. No matter how far away they go, your presence continues to exist inside their inner world. Every distraction eventually loses its power. Every replacement feels empty because their heart remains loyal to the feeling of what you once shared, even while their mind continues fearing the vulnerability your connection brings. As Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists, and their effort to push you away has only made this connection stronger and harder to ignore within themselves." Their silence holds many untold truths. It carries disappointment from the past, old heartbreaks, and painful lessons that convince them closeness often leads to suffering. Because of this, you feel both deeply precious and strangely frightening to their peace of mind. Subscribe and comment "Recovery" if you are ready to hear the deeper truth about why their heart is trying so hard to overcome fear. Right now, they are quietly testing themselves. They are trying to discover if they can first stand firmly on their own before learning how to stand beside someone like you. Behind the image of independence and during the silence of late nights, they lie awake carrying the unbearable pressure of everything left unsaid. Somewhere deep down, they know that even one honest step toward you could completely transform their life, a transformation they are not fully prepared to face. Their absence has become a kind of self-created exile, a desperate attempt to calm inner chaos before stepping into the peace your presence naturally brings. Type "yes" if you want to understand why someone can deeply love you and still choose to stay away. They know that one moment of complete honesty would make their feelings impossible to hide any longer. And once that truth is finally spoken aloud, there will be no returning to emotional hiding places or the safety of shadows. To love you means giving everything, and right now, that level of emotional surrender terrifies them. So they hide behind the illusion of timing, telling themselves they will return when life feels easier, when they feel stronger, or when they finally believe they are ready. But deep inside, their soul already understands something important. Healing does not wait for perfect timing. Even from far away, they wonder constantly whether your heart still keeps a place for them, or whether you have finally closed the door forever. The deeper truth is this: they are coming back, not when they become flawless, but when the pain of missing you becomes stronger than the fear of opening themselves completely. To the outside world, they may appear calm, unaffected, and perfectly fine. But behind closed doors, this separation weighs heavily on them in ways nobody else fully sees. Whenever the noise of everyday life becomes quiet, memories of you return. They do not miss you like a passing thought or a simple memory. They miss you like home, a place where life felt softer, lighter, and somehow more real. A place where they could finally stop pretending. A place where they felt understood without needing to explain themselves. And deep down, they recognized something undeniable. Life felt more honest, more peaceful, and more meaningful beside you. At night, when sleep refuses to come and they lie awake staring into the darkness above, their thoughts begin to drift toward words that were never spoken, apologies still left unpaid, truths they kept hidden, and moments they wish they could somehow relive. They think about reaching out. They imagine the things they would finally say if fear did not stand in the way. They type messages they never send. They write long paragraphs only to erase them moments later. They pause at your name, quietly hoping courage will suddenly find them. They rehearse conversations in their mind that they feel too afraid to start. Every attempt seems to end with the same painful question. What if it is already too late? What if you have already moved forward without them? What if the door that once felt open no longer exists? Even with all those worries, they still cannot stop hoping that somewhere inside you, the connection remains alive. They wonder if you still sense the bond hidden beneath the silence. They wonder if your heart still recognizes theirs in the same way their heart still recognizes yours. They wonder if your spirit still reaches toward them during quiet moments when the world feels still. There are nights when they feel almost certain you are thinking about them too. Moments when your name suddenly crosses their mind, as though something unseen quietly pulled it there. They are deeply afraid of losing you forever. Even though they are the ones creating distance, it comes from a strange attempt to protect themselves, pushing away the very thing that could truly help them heal. If their silence feels confusing, maybe it comes from fear, not from the absence of love. They live inside a painful contradiction. They run from the very thing they want most. They remain silent about the feelings they most desperately need to express. They push away the love that could transform them, because deep inside, they have never fully believed they deserve something this real. If they seem distant, cold, or uncaring, understand that it is only a shield, protection they built simply to survive. They learned long ago that showing emotions meant danger. Relying on others felt like weakness, and loving too deeply seemed to promise future heartbreak. So they built high and heavy walls around themselves. Then somehow you arrived and gently found your way through those walls without even trying. That is why they step back. That is why they disappear sometimes. They try to rebuild their defenses, hoping to feel safe again. Yet every effort falls apart because no matter how hard they resist, their heart keeps returning to you. No matter how much their mind fights for control, they keep waiting for what they call the right time. Deep inside, however, they know there may never be a perfect moment for something this meaningful. They keep telling themselves they just need more time. More time to become the person they wish to be. More time to heal old wounds. More time to grow. More time to understand how to love without fear. But time slowly became a trap of its own. Every day spent waiting makes the distance feel heavier, not easier. Every silent moment creates more pressure. Every day of pretending only adds more weight to the truth they are trying to avoid. They imagine coming back stronger, more honest, more fearless, able to speak clearly without hesitation or trembling. They picture themselves standing in front of you, finally knowing exactly the right things to say. But life rarely pauses while someone gathers complete courage. Love does not wait until healing is perfect. Sometimes the only way forward is stepping into uncertainty without knowing where the fall will end. Slowly, they are learning that waiting for perfection can cost people the things that matter most. They remain frozen between moving forward and standing still. They feel something larger than themselves quietly guiding them back toward you, while fear pulls them in the opposite direction. They try to quiet the noise inside long enough to hear the deeper truth beneath it all. Now they are deciding whether to continue hiding behind emotional walls or finally surrender to the connection that refuses to disappear. Sometimes they wonder if you have grown stronger without them. Maybe you have finally learned how to let go. Maybe you no longer search for signs of them anymore. The thought of that possibility hurts them in ways they struggle to explain. In many ways, they would rather stay silent and carry the pain themselves than risk discovering they waited too long. Yet underneath all the hesitation and fear, one truth continues to stay strong. They never stopped loving you. The distance is not there because love faded. The distance exists because the love became so overwhelming that they did not know how to hold it without feeling afraid. They are not gone forever. They are slowly gathering strength. Piece by piece, they are learning courage. Inside themselves, they are fighting a quiet battle between fear and destiny, between safety and something that feels meant to be. In a difficult and painful way, they are beginning to understand that silence does not protect love. Silence slowly weakens it. One day, whether slowly or all at once, something inside them will finally open. A moment will come when staying away no longer feels possible. A moment when their heart speaks louder than every fear they carried. A moment when the pain of not choosing you becomes greater than the fear of choosing you. And when that moment arrives, the distance between you will finally end. They are coming back, not uncertain, not halfway present, not weak or afraid, but fully honest, fully present, and completely real. Because this story has not ended, your chapter still remains open. Love this deep does not simply disappear. It changes shape. It grows quietly beneath the surface. During the silence, they are changing inside. They are growing in ways you cannot yet see. Even when it feels like nothing is moving, everything within them is slowly transforming. Distance forced them to confront themselves, and that may be one of the hardest battles a person can face. Being away from you became like looking into a mirror reflecting everything they once tried to avoid. It revealed truths they spent years hiding. It peeled away layers of protection they had built over time. Now they stand face to face with themselves, with nobody else left to blame and nowhere left to hide. There are no distractions strong enough to cover the reality that being apart from you has brought some of the deepest pain they have ever known. Instead of continuing to run outward, they slowly began turning inward, though at first they resisted. They are beginning to discover who they truly are beneath the pretending. They are starting to realize that what they once called strength, shutting down emotions, staying distant, isolating themselves from others, was never really strength at all. It was simply numbness, a survival method perhaps, but never a way to truly live. Numbness cannot heal pain, and silence is not the same thing as power. When they think back to you, they recognize someone who made them feel safe enough to believe in hope again, someone around whom they never had to pretend to be someone else. Distance gave them space to think more clearly, and now they are seeing things through new eyes, noticing truths that fear once kept hidden. They now understand how deeply you truly saw them, and that realization frightens them because being fully seen means becoming vulnerable to loss. To be open means caring deeply enough to risk being hurt. Slowly they are beginning to understand that the real danger was never losing you. The real danger was losing the opportunity to experience something rare simply because fear kept them frozen. They are realizing they cannot fully love you while continuing to avoid the hidden parts of themselves they always feared facing. They cannot build something meaningful while hiding behind emotional walls. They cannot truly move closer to you while carrying wounds they never allowed themselves to heal. So now, they are learning different ways of living. They are letting go of patterns they once believed would remain forever. Life seems to be gently pulling them away from the person they used to be, and guiding them through growth that feels uncomfortable but necessary. They were afraid of being loved because somewhere deep inside they believed they were not worthy of it. They are facing what Carl Jung once described as the hidden, pushed away, weaker parts of the self that often remain buried beneath the surface. But then you entered their life and quietly challenged those old beliefs just by being yourself. You made them feel safe enough to simply be human, and somehow that scared them more than anything before. In quiet moments alone, they still remember the softness in your voice, the peace in your presence, and the understanding that existed in your silence. You offered them something genuine, something real, and the truth is, they did not know how to fully receive it. They once believed that love had to be complicated, filled with highs and lows, uncertainty and confusion, because that was all they had ever experienced before. But with you, something about it felt different, almost unfamiliar in the most comforting way. They were not truly afraid that you would leave them behind. Deep inside, what frightened them more was disappointing you. They feared letting you down. They worried that one day you would look deeply enough to notice every flaw, every insecurity, and every imperfection they quietly carried shame about. What they are slowly beginning to understand is that you never expected perfection from them in the first place. You never asked them to be someone flawless or free from mistakes. You never needed them to pretend to have everything figured out. Because real love is not about being perfect. Love is about trying. It is about honesty. It is about showing up fully, sincerely, and allowing yourself to be seen exactly as you are. Every day they wake up, they feel the emptiness left behind by the decision they made. Every single morning without you feels heavier than before, carrying a weight that no longer seems meaningful or understandable. Every night when silence settles in and the world slows down, their thoughts drift back to you again. They are starting to realize that a connection like this is rare. Love this deep does not arrive often in life. The distance they once believed gave them strength or protection is no longer giving them peace. Instead, it is damaging the very thing they secretly wanted to protect the most. Somewhere deep inside they can feel life pushing them forward. They sense the universe urging them to grow, to stop hiding, and to finally face the truth they have been avoiding. Instead of fading, the connection feels stronger than ever. What they once believed time would weaken, time has only made deeper and more impossible to ignore. If you have ever shared a soul connection with someone who disappeared, then you understand how silence can never truly erase what is real. They know now that life does not wait forever. Opportunities do not endlessly repeat themselves. Some moments only come once, and some people only appear once in a lifetime. They are learning the painful lesson spoken about by Carl Jung. Growth rarely arrives without discomfort. Awareness does not come without struggle. Through all of that inner conflict, one truth has started becoming louder than fear, stronger than uncertainty, and more powerful than doubt. They cannot truly heal while avoiding the truth. They cannot move forward without courage. The fears that once controlled them are slowly weakening. Their heart is growing stronger. The silence between you is beginning to crack. The distance no longer feels endless. Something deep inside them is preparing for the moment when they finally stop running. And when that moment comes, when they finally turn around and face everything they spent so long avoiding, it will not happen through confusion or hesitation. It will happen with open eyes, with honesty, and with the kind of truth that only comes after surviving a long and difficult inner battle. Because what they feel for you is not temporary. It is not something imagined. It is not passing emotion or a short chapter that disappears with time. What exists between you feels deeper than that. It feels like a quiet calling, a recognition of souls, a connection that somehow stretches beyond silence, distance, and even years apart. Soon, the silence they once depended on for protection has become too painful to carry. The distance they believed would help them think clearly has begun to feel more like a prison than peace. Every single day without you weighs on them more heavily than the day before. Every moment spent pretending everything is fine becomes harder to maintain. What they once tried to bury is no longer staying hidden. What they attempted to ignore has become loud enough to shake them awake. They can feel something changing inside themselves. They can sense a shift happening, a turning point, a slow ending to every excuse that once allowed them to stay hidden and avoid what their heart already knew. There comes a moment in every major transformation where staying the same becomes more painful than facing uncertainty. They have reached that place. Their mind is exhausted from fighting something too powerful to escape. Slowly, they are beginning to realize that staying distant never truly protected them. Instead, it quietly cost them pieces of themselves. It cost them moments they cannot get back. It cost them time, and when everything around them becomes quiet for even a second, when distractions disappear and there is nowhere left to run mentally, they catch themselves whispering your name without meaning to. Without even thinking, their hand reaches for their phone. Sometimes they find themselves revisiting old memories, replaying moments that once felt ordinary but now feel irreplaceable. They search for the sound of your laughter. They remember the gentleness in your eyes. They miss the warmth of simply existing near you, without effort, without fear, without pretending. They replay conversations in their mind and think about the words they should have said, the honesty they held back, the moments they chose fear over vulnerability. They are finally starting to see how far they drifted from the person who truly understood them, the one who accepted them completely, the one who made them feel seen in ways nobody else ever could.